Hi guys, it's me, Carrie Silver Lining Minute, and I feel like I haven't done this in so long. This is the first time I've put my sparkles on since the last time I did a video, which was maybe 6 weeks ago. And I used to enjoy this. It's the only time I got to get dolled up, except for a few other instances here and there. But if you've been following along in my group, and I don't know how many of you do or don't, but I know enough of you do, you know that I've been feeling pretty overwhelmed. So I haven't had opportunities to do anything except for care for my family. And I just now, right now, I just got finished writing a list of the things that I believe I want to talk about and catch you up on. And I just did that big ass post on Watermelon Day and what that meant to me, and I'll probably mention in here a little bit. But included in that story time was that I feel like Silver Linings days are numbered, and I've already mentioned this before. I kind of changed my mind. And I enjoy this to an extent, but right now it doesn't. I've learned to kind of go with my gut feeling. So even though I do enjoy expressing myself, I tend to be doing it more in writing these days, even though it's equally time consuming. But I don't know, it just feels like this part's coming to an end. And I would be sad about that if I didn't know that something else was coming along. I know I have some clues about what may be coming. I realize that I get to create it, but I don't feel like I have much control over my life right now. So let me just jump into the things that have been going on since the last time I was here. I feel like even though, I'm kind of done with this, I can't leave anything out. I got to have like the story complete in between. So let me go all the way back to my trip to Washington with my dad. And to recap, I've been feeling like angry at him for giving me opportunities to feel like he's like pimping me out. And like one of the things I've told you that he's like suggested a couple of times that I go make nice with my mom so that I can like be written right back into her will. And that just infuriated me because that makes me feel like a prostitute. In a way, it's got the same vibe. Let me just, compromise myself in order to get money. And I'm not about that. I don't want to like put myself back into that lion's den. And I'm irritated with him because I've had to tell him a couple times. And I've spent like all of the pandemic and quarantine angry at him, hoping that I could just process it and move on. But when I was at his house, I realized that was not the case. And I did talk to him a little bit about that. Quit asking me to go make nice with my mom. And this is the reason why I worked really hard to break free from her. And there's no amount of money that's going to make me, change my mind about that or want to go backwards. I'm not interested in going backwards. That's going to be the theme today. In fact, maybe that's what I'll title this. I'm not interested in going backwards. But while I'm at my dad's house, and again, my dad's so sweet. He's so generous with me. He throws money at me because he knows I don't have a lot, which is like so ironic because like a true pimp would keep the money. But he gives me money without expecting anything in return. He does it because he loves me. And of course, I cannot be bought. I don't want my mom's money, but I'll accept my dad's money because I know it comes from love rather than, manipulation or a need to feel like, I don't know, whatever. I don't even want to talk about that stuff. I don't want to deal with my mom. I mean, it's yucky. I'm done with that stuff. So, but when I was at his house, and I touched on this in other episodes, that when I was a young girl, that he was always been attracted to women that don't look anything like me. And I knew that bothered me a little bit, but it wasn't until I was at his house that I realized how much that fucked with me. And, I'm open to triggers, so I might not have noticed it otherwise if I weren't on this journey. But what happened was he kept talking about this woman named Endeavor. Endeavor's so beautiful. Endeavor's this, Endeavor's that. And if I were a young man, I'd be all over Endeavor. And he's kind of like joking because he knows damn well he doesn't stand a shot in hell with her. So he's kind of joking about it. But at the same time, he's going on and on and on about how beautiful she is. And I know he's baiting me. I know he wants me to come up and look at her. But what that trigger did to me was remind me of all the times in which he would find other women beautiful. And so I tried to call him out on this and say, I'm working really hard on body positivity and learning how to accept myself as I am. So when you make comments about how beautiful women are that don't look anything like me, that sabotages my efforts. And I wasn't going to go into all this, but here I am. I'm going to go into it a little bit. And he just couldn't get it. He's like, well, why would I want to be attracted to my daughter? And I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. And There were, I just, it was, I kind of felt like I was talking to my husband, like, the apples I'm trying to hand him, he has handed me oranges back. It just, nothing matched. His responses did not match what I was trying to get across. So I just let it go. And my dad is actually, my strength is in speaking my piece. I didn't have a voice for most of my life, but now I sure as fuck do, and I'm going to say what I have to say. But there's something to be said about his way of doing things, which is being quiet for the sake of peace. He's a guy that doesn't have to be right. So he just was quiet about it, and I was quiet about it. But it really bothered me that he didn't understand. And I got the impression that he got the impression that I was trying to say that he's like perverted or, for finding younger women attractive. And I'm like, no, I even find younger women attractive. But I was just trying to really let him know I'm sensitive. This is my current journey right now, and I just can't handle comments about, let me go ahead and tell that, a little bit of this story because it's so interesting the way the universe works. So I was trying to tell him, about my body positivity and trying so hard, blah, blah, blah. And we came to like a kind of like a friendly standoff, both, just not saying anything else. And so I turned on my phone and started scrolling, and I saw one of Heather's posts. And you may have seen it going around the internet. She shared it. I shared it. Many people shared it from me. And it was the Sports Illustrated runway, I don't know, swimsuit show. I don't know what to call it. But the women that were competing were just regular fucking women. They weren't these perfect clones. And when you see like beauty, I used to watch beauty pageants with my grandma, and the women were all so incredibly perfectly beautiful that the only way to find a winner was to tear down the other women. They all should have deserved the trophy for being such stunners, but we'd have to find flaws in them so that we can find the most perfect one. So that was one of my standards of beauty. So seeing this, this Sports Illustrated show with all these women with regular bodies, some had bellies, some were round, some were short, everything. And they were strutting their shit in their bathing suits. And the caption said something to the effect of, if little girls grow up watching this, then, and I'm paraphrasing now, then we wouldn't have a nation full of, self-loathers and people with eating disorders and people with body dysmorphic disorder and all of this other stuff. Because we would realize that beauty isn't imperfection. That's the exception to the rule. That, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, but we're not taught that. And so my dad's comment back to me, which pissed me the fuck off, he said something like, well, I wonder how many, not episodes, issues that particular magazine's going to sell. And that pissed me off because that just perpetuates the belief that these women are unworthy of being beautiful. I was mad at him for kind of that attitude, but still, he's my dad. I love him, and I backed off, but it felt unsettled. So I wrote him this long letter and I explained to him what I really meant, because again, I didn't want him to think he was a pervert. I didn't want him to think that I thought that he was perverted by just liking younger women or whatever he thought the point I was trying to get across. He was wrong. So I kind of described it in terms that I thought he could understand. And I used the example of like a little black girl growing up watching, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Barbie on the commercials and things. And her parents really loved her. And so when the second dose of Barbie came through in the Toys R Us catalog, perpetuating the belief that this is what, beauty and success are, this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, tall, skinny, Barbie doll type, the parents went ahead and bought that Barbie for her. Maybe because they didn't realize that it was, damaging this little girl's self-esteem, that, et cetera, et cetera. You know where I'm going with this, but I had to really, I feel like dumb it down for him to see that nobody told, because my dad tried to tell me, well, I have pictures of you on my wall. So I said to him, and these parents loved their daughter so much that they had pictures of her all over their mantle, but they still bought her that Barbie, maybe because they grew up with that same belief that that's the standard of beauty. Whatever it was, even though they never told her that you're unworthy, you're ugly or whatever it was, by default, that's how she felt, because beauty was this and she wasn't this, she was that. So I tried to explain to him that, and that every time he howled out about a blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauty, it would reinforce that I am not beauty. And that when he makes the comment that, this issue is not going to sell many copies, that reinforced it too. And I'm old enough now that I can recognize that and say, that's not true. And I really only have to tell myself. I don't have to convince him of anything. So in this letter, that's exactly what I told him. I go, I'm not out to change you. You can think whatever you want. But while I'm in this place of recovery and learning how to self-accept, I'm going to ask you to refrain from those kinds of comments. And he comments on unattractive women too, mostly women, but sometimes, well, everybody, men too. Just like he'll say, like, he had a face like a foot. And it's like that commentary's unnecessary. But I learned from my dad to judge people by their looks. And sometimes he's being funny and jokey, but it's sunk in. And another thing he did is that, when I'm trying to tell him about, I'm not these women, so stop praising them. He said to me, the next comment was, yeah, but those women are always gold diggers. And that pissed me off too, because that's not true. Sure, there are some women that, want you to just put, gimme, gimme, gimme. But there's, that's not because they're beautiful. That's not the rule. So I realized what that did too is that I knew that was his belief. So I remember, that totally like clicked in my brain. Is that why one of the reasons I was so, I'll call it like it is, slutty, is because I didn't want the men I dated to think that I was a gold digger. So they'd buy me dinner and I'd fuck them so that they wouldn't have those bad thoughts about me. All it took was a fucking dinner. I'm not going to be considered a user because the men in the world don't like that in women. And I really had my dad on a pedestal. I was a little kid. He really was kind to me and loving to me, and he would have done anything for me. But through his own filter, he married my mom after all, and she was beautiful and she was just a complete bitch. And he's always, he's attracted that kind of women too. Another woman that he was with for a very long time, she really wanted the man to pay. He hated that about her. And according to him, she wasn't even attractive enough to earn it. So I tried to explain to him, well, the reason she does that is because she feels so insecure that the only way she can feel loved is if you treat her to dinner. So don't see it as like she's an ass because she demands that you pay for everything. See it as that she's insecure and it's the only way that she can feel loved. Because once you change your perspective, you can have compassion for somebody and then you don't have to feel personally attacked. That's their hang up. So at the end of all this, having all of this realization, and I wrote him this letter, he was really cool about it. He wrote me back and he said, you know what, I had no idea any of that was going on. I'm very sorry if I contributed to your low self-esteem that, you say you have. And, he tried to beef me up. You're so beautiful, all that other stuff, blah, blah, blah. But mostly, he apologized, and I didn't really need him to apologize. In fact, I told him that. I said, I'm not asking you for an apology. I'm not asking you for you to change other than, refrain from the comments just to respect me because it hurts me. But keep your thoughts all you want. Just don't give me that energy. But he did own it. He did learn it. That letter made it very clear to him and he understood it. So I really feel like I've healed from that. And one of the reasons I'm sharing that is, of course, because I want you to relate that to your own story. You can, and it could be maybe not that exact like context of the father, like, praising women that you never were, but just in that the people that you love and you respect and means so much to you, they could still have fucked you up on, beknownst to them. And sometimes, I don't know, I feel like I got lucky in that I felt like he did understand me, and that makes me feel good. But sometimes they're just not going to get it. And as long as, I don't know, this is my advice. As long as I don't have to live with him, then it wouldn't bother me as much. Although, like I said, it did fester in me for a whole year. I didn't want to confront him with it. But when I was there at his house, I realized I had to. But I feel like that one was tied up. I got a bow on it and put it away. I'm done with that one. That gift has been given and I've healed from that. And so that's very satisfying. Okay, let me go next. Okay, so another thing is that, remember in the last episode, I'm just going to go through shit. I don't even know if I have segues into the next thing. I'm going to race through this. I have weeks worth to tell you, and I'm going to give you the shortest version possible. I said that, I was going to make good on my threat if my husband tries that gaslighting, blaming bullshit. And I took off to a hotel, and it was really, really sad. I was lonely there. Even though I wanted to make a statement and I felt like it was important that I did, and I don't regret that decision to do that, I was just sad and lonely. I would have been sad and lonely if I'd stayed home, but I probably would have screamed a whole lot more. But leaving and going to a hotel, it was just fine. It was just a small room. It wasn't a vacation at all. I kind of looked forward to the next fight so I could go, woohoo, I'm going to a hotel. But that's not how it was at all. It was just lonely. And even though I feel like that can be the answer sometimes, just removing myself from a situation in which there's just, going to be screaming anyway and no progress, I can't just run away from stuff. So that's not the answer. Maybe it's one of the answers some of the times, but we have a whole new batch of problems now, and he's still blaming me for stuff. He's still trying to hold me responsible for my daughter's eating disorder. And he has, such a skewed way of thinking about things that he interprets things in an incorrect way. And I feel like I really have to battle him. Like I was saying about my dad, it's like, where the fuck are you coming out? I'm not saying that at all. So I don't know if he still gets it. My husband gets it. You cannot blame me, because even if I were partially responsible, see, he's thinking that when I started this intuitive eating journey and tried to tell her to listen to your body, listen to your cues of hunger and fullness, that's when, and I had the example, or not the example, but I did this with my kids. Cut your sandwich in half, your burger in half, whatever it is. Eat the half. If you're still hungry, then eat the other half. Or if it's really yummy, eat the other half. But if you're really full and it doesn't even sound good anymore, then wrap that up and save it for the next meal, because you'll enjoy it more and you won't be sick. But he's taking that, saying that I'm trying to cut her portions in half and diet, even though I did it to all the kids. So it's such a huge argument right there. I don't feel like I was doing the wrong thing. And this is like pre-intuitive eating. I just think that makes sense. He finally got, he repeated that same thing. Sure. Sometimes I don't want to eat my whole foot-long Subway, so I'll save it for later. And I'm like, that's all I was doing. That's all I'm trying to teach. And I did it to all the kids. But what I am guilty of is teaching her about Splenda and how to I would never count calories, but I knew the difference between sugar and Splenda. One has calories, one doesn't. So why not have the diet version if it tastes the same to you, just to kind of mitigate damages? And that's where my culpability may lie. But again, I'm not like diet culture. I'm not trying to make money off her. I really believed that I was doing her a service, because my mom never taught me anything about nutrition. So based on the knowledge that I had at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. But I had since learned, and I owned that, and I'll never do it again. I'm not going to do that to myself. If I don't, and it says, I'm not going to say I'm not going to have sweetener, but if I don't want it, if I'm going to compromise my taste for it or whatever, I'm not going to have it. But if, sometimes I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I like sugar-free syrup as well as I like regular syrup. And I know there's a difference there. So whatever. Anyway, I'm not doing it to calorie restrict or lose weight. Because I have insulin resistance issues, I know that sugar isn't great for me. Sweeteners probably aren't either, but they're probably the lesser of the two evils as far as blood sugar spikes go. So I feel like as long as I restrict in the name of my disease rather than in the name of weight loss, there's a difference right there. But I've since changed, whereas my husband, he just still wants to blame me, and that's just in his nature. He wants to blame people for everything, but I'm the most convenient one. So even though I feel like I should have ended this blame thing once and for all, I haven't. I can't understand why I'm still attracting this, other than that he just has more time to go, because speaking from experience, it takes a long, long time to rewire your brain. And he's only started his journey of retraining his and recognizing this blame in him. He's only, it's only been since last October. It hasn't even been a year, and he doesn't have the luxury of inner working the way I do. So I don't know if I'm still taking it, attracting it because he needs more work, how it benefits me too, because it does make me mad. I will admit that not entirely, but I don't go fucking nuts like I once did. But I'm not cool, calm, and collected like I'd like to be either. I'd like to be able to just let that shit roll off. Water off a duck's back. So let me back up just for a sec. Let me see. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what to do with that blaming shit. But so I had my dad. I have me fighting with my husband still. I have my daughter's eating disorder, which, as you already know, is extremely stressful. I don't worry in a sense is she going to be okay? I worry in a sense that I know that she's hurting right now and my heart hurts for her. I'm my heart hurts for me. I'm not worried of an outcome. I feel confident in the outcome. I just don't want her to suffer in the meantime to get that outcome. So that is what's stressful to me. My boy Josh, this is so unusual. I'd like to ask a medium about this. This is kind of small potatoes, but it's still something I have to deal with. He really likes he likes, I've told you, he likes to do political raps on communism and different governments. And he has a very deep voice, and he wants it to be deeper than it is. I mean, he wants to be like Darth Vader and beyond. And so he does all these voice quizzes or whatever, you sing into an app or just, whatever it is. and it'll tell you where you're at. He wants to be at one level, but these apps are saying he's another. So he's really distressed because he doesn't have the voice he wants. And it's such an unusual, like me, I had to surrender my dream body. I feel like he has to surrender his dream voice. I think that this is his thing, but I wonder why it's voice. I want to ask about if this is past life stuff, why the voice thing, and what kind of advice can I give him? But it really brings him down. So, I'm having to counsel him a lot, not to mention all of the regular things that a 17-year-old boy might need counseling on. And I actually feel very fortunate in that he does come to me. He talks to me about love interests, and, we're very open about sex and stuff. It's still, there isn't a whole lot of action going on, but he's 17. So, I want to be there to answer questions for him. So another thing is that my hands are still fucked up. I don't have any jewelry or rings on because my hands hurt so bad. I can't say they've never been this bad, but it hasn't lasted this long in ever, I think. I mean, my whole body used to be covered in some kind, like I used to, like my neck was bad, so I'd have to like turn my whole head because I couldn't do this and just crack open the skin on my neck. It'd be all over my hands. My toenails would just fall out. It was like my whole body. I was fucked up. My belly, everywhere. It was just like I was just a walking rash. So now it's limited to my hands, but it hasn't gone away. I've been putting so much creams and stuff on, so you can't really see as bad as it is because all of the medicines I've been putting on. So I have an appointment with a dermatologist next week because there's no cure for it. There really isn't any preventative maintenance other than to reduce stress because it's stress induced. So I've been in a constant state of stress for months, and my hand, it's hurt so bad. And the only relief is scalding hot water that hurts so bad, but the nerve endings become electrified. That kills the itch instantly. And I have like the best body orgasms ever. They don't even touch the ones that happen in meditations with energy, because this is like true physical, and it's not, you have an orgasm, like your whole region explodes. Well, this is my whole fucking body because I'm scalding the tips of my fingers. That's so weird to me. It's like, why do I take so much pleasure from pain? So they hurt right now. I'm not even doing anything. They ache, they throb. I've peeled so many layers of skin off that I don't even have any to regenerate. I'm a mess. So feeling so overwhelmed, I made an appointment with a psychiatrist, and that was yesterday. And it was very short-lived. I think she just wanted to make sure that I was a good candidate for some antidepressants and not, some damn freak, which I kind of told her about some of my freaky stuff. I didn't mention the word twin flame, but I did mention kundalini. I did mention like acting out sexually through letters, through not one, but two men that I had identical experiences with. I did mention healing from a narcissistic mother. And what I also mentioned to her was that I believe that the reason I became overwhelmed with, what did I say? My dad's shit, going to the hotel, being so distressed, my husband still blaming me for shit, my daughter having the disorder, my kid like freaking out about his voice, and my hands still being fucked up. I got more like betrayal to talk about too. But all of these things betrayal's one of them. I got more shit to talk about, and betrayal's one of them. So I told her that I believed that the reason that all this stuff was coming at me at once was so that I could actually have a nervous breakdown. Is it a nervous breakdown or just a regular breakdown? I don't know if that's the same thing, but I broke down not once but twice, where I was like a blubbering puddle of emotions on the floor. And I'd be literally sitting there going, I'm short-circuiting. And one time my husband like picked me up, put me in bed, and he petted me until I went to sleep. And another time I was so distraught and we were fighting. I mean, I was like at my wits fucking end. I called the suicide hotline because I didn't necessarily want to kill myself, but I had taken I was like, I hadn't cut myself in 6 years. And I took a knife and I just sliced my thigh open, my upper thigh. And luckily the knife was dull. I can't say I sliced it open. That's kind of dramatic. But say I put a pretty radical like cat scratch into my leg from a knife because I was just beside myself and I didn't know what to do. And that's how I used to cope way back when. So while I wasn't necessarily suicidal, I was self-harmicidal. And so I talked to this woman and she kind of talked me off the ledge. And just the fact that I reached out to somebody, I mean, that's good. But at the same time, I was pissed that's another reason I felt betrayed, is like, I've done so much work. I worked almost 7 fucking years. It's been 7 years, but at this point, not quite yet, to get over this shit with these fucking twins. All this Mariana stuff. I did my mom. I did the sex coercion. I'm in the middle of the body stuff. And still, I'm falling apart on the floor. I was like, what the fuck, fairy girl? What are you doing this to me for? So then, if things couldn't get worse, they actually did. And I was sitting down, watching I recorded the Olympics because I didn't have time to watch. So I just put my TiVo and recorded it. So I just started one day. I woke up with some bad back pain. And I just thought I slept wrong. But as the day went by, it hurt and it wasn't letting up. And I put heat on it and ice on it. I did all kinds of things to remedy it. Then I started Googling because I never felt this kind of pain before. It didn't really feel like a regular back pain. So then I was like, oh my God, it's my spleen. I'm going to have to get my damn spleen removed. And that has like a list of lifelong problems with it. And there was like some other stuff that it could have been. But the one that I settled on was a kidney infection. And my hoo-hoo kind of burned when I peed. So that kind of made sense. And I didn't want to go to the doctor because I just wanted to sit and be miserable and have it go away. But it wasn't going to go away. It was very reminiscent of the appendectomy. And I was like, I got to get myself into the doctor. It didn't hurt as bad as the appendectomy, but it hurt bad enough to get up, or appendicitis, to get up and go to the urgent care. So I did. I never got a diagnosis other than that I did have blood in my urine, and I was, I don't know. Oh, I had a fever too. So they gave me a prescription, and I was freaking out about that because I knew I had to go take Layla to her eating disorder clinic in just a few days. So I'm like, I can't get sick. What the fuck are you doing? So as I'm watching the Olympics, nursing my back pain and, burning in vagina and taking my antibiotic, waiting for a prescription to come in because it hadn't come in yet. Urgent care just couldn't get their shit together. I happened to turn on the episode of Simone in which she's like, fuck this. I got to get out of this arena. I don't feel right. And since this was a repeat, I already knew, as TiVo, I already knew what was going on with her. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm so proud of her for taking care of herself. And then the big light bulb went off on my head. That's what I was doing. I always do the same thing as the world does at large. I'm learning now that all I have to do is look at the current headlines and pick out which one I identify with the most. And that's my next assignment. So I was to learn, experience, and teach that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to put yourself first. So that day, while sitting there nursing my kidneys and having this big epiphany, my sweet husband, because he does have a sweet side, I know I spent a lot of time complaining about him, but he really does have a sweet, caring, nurturing side about him. He spent 4 hours cleaning the house, and it was mostly just vacuuming up that fucking dog hair. But there were other things too. I don't know what he did, but he spent 4 hours cleaning. And, 30 years ago, maybe like a dozen roses and a box of chocolates would have done the deed. But right now, what I need is help. And that was such a huge help. So I felt loved and cared about. So I allowed somebody to take care of me by doing my chores for me. And still, he does a lot of the dishes for me because dishes hurt, water hurts, touching things hurts. So he's been real good about that when he can be, when we're not fighting. So I appreciate him for that. So once I realized that I was meant to have this breakdown, and don't forget, I had that reading with Heather and I almost said Michael, Heather and Eric told me that, you need to get a schedule for yourself. You won't believe how much your life will calm down and feel better once you get a schedule going for yourself. So I went out and bought a book, like a scheduling book, and I bought it in July, and I laughed because the first day wasn't until August 1st. So I was like, I don't have to get organized till August 1st. And my breakdown, sure enough, was before then. But he told me that if every day you're supposed to write down things that you must do, things that you want to do but can wait, and other things that are like, meh, you want to do them but they can wait. But you make sure that every single day on your must list that you take time for you. Otherwise, you're going to come undone and you won't be able to be any use to anybody. Well, he called it because that's exactly what happened. So putting that clue together, seeing what's going on in the world, even though I was still going on in the shit and I still had all these things going on, understanding what was happening really, really got me from a place of why is this happening to me to what is my soul trying to teach me. And it was trying to teach me to, like I said, it's okay to be okay. It's okay to get help, and it's okay to put yourself first. So I have made it a point to take some me time just about every day. Sometimes I have intentions to, but life gets in the way. I'm really busy right now with Layla. She is a part-time job in herself. I have so many meetings. I was on Zoom yesterday for 3 hours and just listening to lectures and then having my own family therapy. And then immediately after that, I went to my new therapy session with my psychiatrist. I'm just like, I'm overloaded. Okay, so I mentioned a little bit of the betrayal. I feel betrayed because, I no longer feel betrayed about having the overload. I get it now, but I did feel betrayed about that for a while. I feel betrayed too because, remember the last few times I've been talking, and I'm done learning through the twins. I really am. I always have some kind of things I can reflect from, but with the things I'm about to tell you, there really isn't that much reflection. So I know I am done with Michael and Fairy Boy. But let me tell you a little story about Fairy Boy. I let go of Michael a long time ago, or at least let go of the desire. Well, I got to rephrase that. I let go of the desire to have a romantic relationship with him. And I kept waiting for, I made the conscious decision for that. I kept waiting for, my feelings to chill out and me to just be over him, for some shift to happen. That's not going to happen with him. Maybe, it will transmute, and I really don't want to have a romantic relationship with him because that will be going backwards, and I'm all about moving forwards. And, but there's still a desire there to connect with him. So another thing I want to ask in another reading is that am I to let go of surrender the desire to become friends with him, to have some kind of relationship with him, and I don't know if it's my path to just always feel like in love with him without wanting to have that romantic relationship, or if it will morph into, I can't really call it like a brother, or there's like a depth there that I can't ever describe. I don't know, because I feel like protective and motherly towards him. I also feel like he is my protector to take care of me. We don't even communicate, and I have all these intense feelings about him. So I want him back in my life, but I've come to accept that, he has a family, and I don't want to get in that biz. So maybe for me, it's just about, being okay with having these feelings about him, but still choosing to not go there. And I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, if that's the way it has to be, but I wish that we could still be friends. I hate to be pining away for a friendship that I'm not even going to have. We'll see. I can't do anything about it anyway, except I can possibly learn whether or not I have to give up that want of a friendship. But I don't trust the messages from Spirit anymore. So even if they told me, I'd be doubtful. That's one of the things I feel betrayed about, is all of the stories of saying, yes, you're going to have this. You're going to have this. It's, here's your fucking carrot. And, before I go there, I want to back up a little bit because something happened with Fairy Boy, and I keep telling you, like the Wilson volleyballs, my romance with a basketball, the tide keeps bringing them back in. So this time I had like visualizations where I like stabbed those fucking balls. I stabbed the volleyballs. I stabbed the basketballs so that they would deflate, fill with water, sink to the bottom of the ocean. Quit coming back. And I was there, except I learned of an opportunity to potentially connect with Fairy Boy early next year. And it hadn't even occurred to me at first. My friend's hosting an event, and I kind of like to give her props on that, but then it would like possibly take away his anonymity, and I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful to him, but anyway. So I just really loved the idea of reconnecting with this friend and the other who's hosting this and the other people that might potentially go. And not only that, I'm always like the host of these events. So I can't tell you how appealing it was for me to be like a guest where I can kick back. I don't even have to listen to the presenters. I can close my eyes and take a nap as long as I don't snore or anything. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be off and still like connect with good energy, because I know I've hosted these things. Just being in these places with these friends gives you just such a high. So keep that in mind next time I host an event. Buy your tickets, because there will be more in some shape or form. So it wasn't until after my gear started, going on and getting excited, and I chose the room I wanted because she's got a website and you can, see what it looks like. It just looked magnificent, very luxurious. And, which, I'm not a luxury girl. That was another thing. My, not that I can't afford it, but I'm so frugal and cheap. That was kind of like, ooh, don't want to spend that much money. I think it was a good deal for what it was, but I'm like the bargain girl. So that kind of fucked with me a little bit, but my dad came through, and I feel like I have plenty of money to engage in an event like that. But then I realized, oh my gosh, maybe that's the event that Spirit keeps telling me that I'll connect with Fairy Boy at. I am so going. I can't wait. And I revved right back up, and my desire for him reignited, and I was going crazy about it. So excited. But at the same time, in this, I was figuring this all out on my trip to Washington, and some of you saw the video I posted in my group where it was just like a moment of Zen to live vicariously through me. And I was sitting on that rock. I got a friend request, and it was from somebody that provided an experience for me that was not very pleasant. This person was unkind to me, and I'm like, I'm not hooking back up with that. I don't know if this person's changed or not. And not that anybody has anything to prove to me. They don't, but at the same time, they kind of do. I mean, I'm not asking anybody to prove anything to me, but I'm not going back to a relationship unless I know that other person has changed, and I don't know, and I don't really have a way to find out. So I was like, fuck that. I'm not going backwards. So when it came to me thinking about reconnecting with Fairy Boy, I was like, fuck that. I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to that event, whether he goes or not, because symbolically, that lets me know that I'm not interested. And I don't really know. I mean, I kind of just don't think about him. I've made the conscious choice to let him go too. I don't know what my feelings are for him. I feel like if he came knocking on my door, that I'd be reignited once more. But at the same time, so I feel like I'm not ready. I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, because like I said with Michael, I feel like I'll have that. I don't know how I'll feel about him, but I will always have love for him in one way or another. I don't know if I'll feel that same way about Fairy Boy. I don't dislike either of them. I'm not mad at either of them. I understand that it was all a journey of my evolution. And I remember, Voltaire would say things, or maybe it was Jean-Francois or both of them. They'd say that, love doesn't die, it only transmutes. So maybe I will have, love for both of them in some form or another. But when it comes to Fairy Boy, even though I feel like he would still be so much fun, I'm done like trying to not necessarily chase that, but wonder about it, be okay with it, hope for it in any way, get excited about it. I'm choosing to just let that go despite my feelings. And maybe that's where the strength lies. Maybe that's in it. I'm waiting for my feelings to change. Maybe I just have to decide that I don't want any bit of somebody, I don't want to spend time with somebody that hurt me. And I don't know, maybe that's the growth, even though I still have feelings for them. So I feel betrayed by being promised. I'm using the word promised, but maybe that's the wrong word, just told. So many times I've been told one thing, and I know down, it's not because my path shifted. It's not that. Like I've mentioned many times about when I asked Eric through the e-board with Robert, am I going to go see Fairy Boy in Australia? And the answer was yes. And I didn't ask when. I did not ask when. But Eric volunteered 9/19, September of 19. And that didn't happen and clearly was never meant to happen. If it took me like 3 more years to let go of him, then how was I ever meant to go see him in 19? So that was a lie. That was a betrayal. It wasn't a shifted path. It was to get me to, keep my hooks in this guy until I finished my inner work through him. It was to create an expectation so I can let go again. And then other things, there was like this, remember Alice, baby Alice, future baby Alice, when Heather channeled her, and she said that it was funny that when she read my book, because there's so much sex in this book, but it's kind of funny because the picture I chose to use is a picture of me as an older woman. So here's this grandma talking about all the sex she had. And then I was told too, I thought by now that when they told me that I'd be flying around the world putting myself together through love and sex, I thought that would be happening like now when my kids were teenagers. They also said at the same time, don't forget you have a family, and that kind of worried me, thinking I'd be having so much fun out there, with all this love and sex from people all over the world. Well, I think now that warning to remember I had a family was that I don't have any time to deal with boys. I don't have any, or men, whatever, relationships, women, I don't care, love and sex around the world. I don't have time for any of that because I'm so immersed in my family situation, especially Layla. she's a lot of work. I'm glad to be here for her, but how dare they tell me that I'm going to go spend time with these men when I'm not? And I don't understand, why would baby Alice tell me, future baby Alice, tell me this stuff if it weren't at some point true? Because now, Eric tells me, fuck those two twins, fuck them. By the time if you ever do hook up with Fairy Boy, it's going to be too late. You're not going to be interested in him in any way, which was one of the reasons that I was like, fuck it, I'm going to let that shit go now. Now, this could be a lie too. Maybe he really is going to become very desirous of me. Maybe I really am going to have a romance with Michael. So maybe that's the lie that I'm not going to, just to help me get to a place of not wanting it anymore. So either way, I've been lied to. I've been lied to that I am going to connect, and I've been lied to that I'm not going to connect. So one way or another, I've been lied to. And Eric tried to tell me one time that it was through bad channeling that I got this information. And no, I mean, maybe some of it is, but they flat out lied. And so I feel betrayed by spirit. I feel betrayed by Michael for moving on and getting that surrogate me. And I feel angry and betrayed at his higher self, Margello, because they worked together. They both went ahead, So, I feel betrayed by them. I feel betrayed by Voltaire telling me that the love I am so desirous of is waiting for me. I think he was implying Fairy Boy. Maybe he meant somebody else, but let's just go there, hypothetically speaking. Wonder if there really is this mystery man. Wonder if my husband really does get to a place where he's comfortable with me having a romance with another man. I don't even believe that's true, because remember the story they told me that my husband's even going to help me pay for an apartment and be really sweet and do all this. I mean, I would turn him down, but he'd offer and he'd do things for me, like keep my car insured on his policy, etc., which makes sense because I would be driving his kids around mostly. But now I don't think that was ever really a true path. Maybe it was like a temporary. I don't feel like that was ever a path. I feel like that was a lie. And a medium, I'm not going to give her name right now because I just don't feel like it. Maybe I will another day. But she's told me that I feel like you and your husband are going to fall back in love. And on one hand, that sounds like the perfect solution, right? Falling back in love with the man I'm already with. And to an extent, I like that idea because I don't want to leave him. I want to stay in my family. But we haven't been in love in a long, long time. And when we were in love and when we did have a physical relationship, it just wasn't very satisfying for me. He doesn't have the same appetite I have, and it just really felt like I was doing the work for two people. And I want somebody to take care of me. I don't want to take care of him, then take care of me. Somebody else love on me. So I can't help but feel that is a potential. I've been let down so many times. Is my current am I to surrender now the possibility of finding that kind of intimacy in a person? I just don't buy for a second that his libido will crank up and he'll be able to match me. And I'm just not attracted to him like that. Now I know that, switches can flip, but at this point in my life, I don't want that switch to flip with him. And I don't trust that there'll be another guy because I can't figure out how to make that work. I can't figure out how my husband will be satisfied with it, even though they tell me he will. And I don't trust that because they told me that, oh, sure, you'll get another apartment and it's going to be great. That just never made sense to me. So this doesn't make sense to me either. So I feel like they're lying about this too and dangling this other carrot that I don't even trust. And I remember Fairy Girl telling me, don't give up on your fantasy because, whether it happens or whether it doesn't happen, if you quit wanting it, it ain't going to happen. Well, I don't want to be let down. How much control do I really have over having, over my life? That's where I'm at right now. And I want to understand how it is that I'm actually controlling writing my own script as Carrie, not Fairy Girl. How am I writing my script? I understand that, you go on this healing path and you surrender those external controls, the external sources that have control over you. And then you find out what you really wanted was not what you thought you wanted. I get that. But so far, I have yet to experience that flip. Now, I did heal from a lot of things, but I had to give so much up without the return. I feel like I had to give up the shiny show. I loved the shiny show. I loved being able to speak to spirit every week. How fucking cool was that? Did I not have the best gig ever? But the relationship was toxic, so I had to let go of something I really loved. And then Michael, I had to give him up. I really loved him. I have to give up that, that expectation. Same thing with Fairy Boy. I loved him, and I think I still love him too. But I have to give up that desire as well. I had to give up my dream body, and I'm still not satisfied with that. So all of the things that I've given up have not come back to me. I don't get to talk to spirit on a show. I don't have love and romance from a twin flame. I don't have the body that I at first thought I wanted, nor do I have the body that I feel like I would be satisfied with now, that has nothing to do with external sources and everything to do with my Walmart pants. I want to be that size again. I put on this shirt today and I was like, oh my God, I could not go out in public in this shirt. I'm just fine from the angle you see, but no, I'm not satisfied with that either. And now, even hypothetically speaking, wonder if there was this dream guy out there. Wonder if the twins did come back. Wonder if an opportunity for a show did come. I don't have any fucking time because I'm so engaged with my daughter. There's so much going on with that, not to mention my other kids. And even Ryan, he's like my little rock. I love this kid so much. And he's very easy, but I want to spend time with just him. Sometimes we have to do math homework together or whatever, but I just like playing video games with him or watching movies with him or, taking the dog for a walk with him. I want to spend time with him. I don't have time for, bromance, twins, whatever. I'm so immersed in inner work. Let's see. So, and I feel like really betrayed, and, I'm going to have Michelle back on my show. We're both so overwhelmed with things that it hasn't happened yet. But I think right now, I wanted to talk about like soul configurations, but now I want to know, how the fuck do I heal from betrayal? And how do I even believe your advice at this point, Spirit? Because I'm pissed off, and, Eric's going to take the brunt of this because that's who I talk to the most, but he's not the only one in trouble. They all are, because even though I realize that I am a victim to no one and everything I experience is something that Fairy Girl wanted me to experience, and I am Fairy Girl, so I got no one to blame but myself, they still conspired. They still went ahead and did her dirty work, or my dirty work, or our dirty work for us. So I get it, but at the same time, it pisses me off. That's not very nice, and how am I supposed to trust anything if they keep fucking with me like that? So, and I don't even know if I'll ever be able to trust the answers they give me. Okay, so anyway, that doctor, my psychiatrist, I requested the lowest dose of Zoloft. So I'm waiting for that prescription, and I have another session in a month to see how that goes. So I'm getting back on fucking drugs because I'm that stressed out and I need help. My blood pressure's through the roof. My hands won't heal. I'm going nuts. That's one of the reasons I don't do this show. It just feels like it's so time consuming. I don't know why I'm doing all the writing, because that takes a lot of time too. I don't really understand that. I do want to have another show. I don't think it'll be all about me in the same way this is. I really want it to be more like the Shiny show, because I loved that so much. And because I love it so much, if that even happens, if that's even a truth, I have a feeling that that's what it's going to be. And Stardust I believe that's going to pick back up too. I don't even talk to Heather as often as I should. She's a little bit more ready to get into that than I am, but I know that she's got a bunch of bullshit going on too. The stars will align for that to happen again, and I really look forward to that, because talking to ETs is almost as exciting as talking to Spirit. I love that too, and I love working with her. I miss the relationship we had, but again, I don't even have time for that. So busy. And I'm just busy being like crazy. Okay, so what else did I want to talk about? I know that there's more. Fuck. I know that I have more. What? I'm not sure. I got all the stuff that I wrote down here, but I remembered something and I wanted to, but as I was talking, and then I forgot it. Okay, so I'll just start talking again. Sometimes that shit comes back to me. So I know I just went like through all kinds of stuff super duper fast, but I feel like I need to complete this story. I don't know how many episodes I have left. I kind of have this, I want to have Michelle back on because she's going to provide so much information for me. She always did, even though I'll only believe like a fraction of it. And nothing, no reflection on her, but all the reflection on Spirit, because they fucked with me. And I know that paths do change. And I realize that I'm not meant to know my path. So even all the things that I talk about a future show, that might not even be in the works, but we'll see. Am I still going to travel? Oh, I know what I was going to say. Even if everything, all that stuff was going to happen, I couldn't go anywhere because not only my kid, but the world's closed. So, I just, everything just felt like a lie to me. So I get to go see my daughter, oh, my poor kid. And, well, let me go ahead and talk about that stuff a little bit. I wanted her to be on my show. That other thing that I lost is like, it's like hovering right there. It wants to come back to me. So let me talk a little bit about why oh, okay. I don't know if this is it or not. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it too. I'm going to make a post about it one day because I don't know why I'm doing the same thing while I'm doing writing and video right now. I don't know why. But one of the interesting things is that I didn't have a client, an energy healing client in like all of the pandemic and beyond. All of 2020, I don't think I had one client. And then when I started to fall apart or in the middle of my falling apart, I got a client. And then I got another client. And this client, she bought 3 sessions and I gave her 3 sessions in a row, 1, 2, 3 days in a row. And then she immediately bought 3 more sessions. Then she immediately bought 3 more sessions. So I was doing an energy healing session every day. And then I got another client and then another client and they each bought 3 sessions. So I have been doing so many sessions and I was unsure. I think it may be a little of both. I think that, they broker deals for me so that when I need energy healing, I don't have time to advertise. I'm so crazy. So I feel like they broker deals so that I can channel for my damn self. They benefit too, of course. I don't think this had anything to do with money because like I said, my dad hooked me up and everything to do with me needing energy healing because I've been slammed with sessions. And they've all said, Eric sent me. So even though he's on my shit list for betraying me, if he's sending me these clients to help me do energy healing, then, I also have gratitude for him too, because if I need it, I need it. And then I did that energy healing session the other day. I wondered if somebody said something. Did somebody say something? Because we had a huge influx of members that wanted to, or people that wanted to join Stardust. And we know that it's because somebody mentioned our group name in Jamie's group, the Lumineers or whatever it is. So we had a huge influx of people. I'm wondering if somebody said my name somewhere else and that's why it happened. How did so many people come to me? Anyway, I know that I needed it, so I'm going to be doing another one soon. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about was how interesting it was that, all this business came my way out of the blue every single day for like a couple weeks. Isn't that strange? That is not an accident. And then the other thing is that, okay, so Buggy, my daughter Layla, I keep calling her my daughter. I keep calling her she and I keep calling her her. She is neither of those things anymore. She's none of those things. She likes to be called Bug or Buggy. And that's what they call her up at her Dallas. She's 3.5 hours away. So let me back up. So I had her on 2 waiting lists to go to eating disorder clinics. And she finally got into an appointment and they drew her blood and the levels were flag of so many things that she went from I don't know where she was on the waiting list, but she went straight to the top on one of them. So they said, okay, your daughter, it seems pretty serious. She's dropped a lot of weight really fast and her blood work is indicating that, the worst basically. So they basically said to me, you have about 4 days to check her, and we'll get her checked in. And so we're scrambling and, just kind of mentally preparing for this. So I took her up there and one of the things that, she's got mixed feelings about it. It's not summer camp. It's camp anorexia. And there, there's other eating disorders there, but I like to be inappropriate and that's what I call it. And so, she really feels like a bond with many of the other patients there, although technically speaking, because of confidentiality shit, she's not allowed to stay connected with them. So she really fears having to leave this place that she's bonded with these people with. But at the same time, it's no picnic there. It's work. And it's so basic that everything is focused around whether or not she eats her food. If she eats half of her meal, then she gets to play with a fidget cube. That's how basic it is. It's like she's a preschooler that gets, you get a sticker for, sitting down and eating your food. That's how basic it is. She gets no privacy. She gets to talk to us once a day. She's only allowed to call mine or dad. She can't talk to her friends, no texting, no social media. They have to have people look in their toilet before they flush. They have to not necessarily be stared at while they're showering. There's some modicum of privacy, but there's always somebody there hovering nearby. They can't shave. There's no razors. I got an electric shaver, but it's the kind that, yanks your hair out and doesn't work very well anyway. So it's basically kind of like a posh jail in a way. That's, her privileges are used as tools. So it's not necessary. She has to earn to use a toy. So, but one of the good things about that place is that these people, I introduced her as her alter ego, her new name, which is Bug or Buggy, and she identifies as a pansexual, non-binary, and she has, gender fluidity. Sometimes she has some gender dysmorphia, and and I really try to respect that. Daddy has a little bit of a harder time about it, but he's coming along. I've said many times that we are his lesson, in letting go of old dogmas. But for me personally, I can't get over the pronouns. I'm trying really hard to do that thee, their, them shit. But it goes against the grammar Nazi in me. I can't stand calling a they and a them for a singular. It bothers me so much. But I really want to be respectful to her because it matters to her. And look, I really want to be respectful to them because it matters to them. So I know that they really appreciate the gender neutral pronouns that this place is using for them. And I'm going to try to apply that more often at home. And my oldest boy, Josh, he's the same way too. He calls himself Kalash. He's so funny. Ryan, he's just pure boy. At least for now, he's pure boy. So, but Kalash, he just feels I can't help it, but Buggy feels very feminine to me, and Kalash, he feels very masculine to me, and I've been calling him these same names and pronouns as long as I've known them. It's really hard to flip a switch. And let me just give an analogy about flipping a switch. It's so funny. I find myself giving my kids advice all the time, and it's the same advice that I need to take. For example, my son, I'm just going to go with it right now. I mean, Josh, they, them, Kalash, but my oldest boy. And the whole voice thing, I'm teaching him, you're going to have to surrender that need, just like I had to surrender my body. So, and he's like, well, how do I do this? How do I find self-acceptance? How do I find self-esteem? Because he's 17 and he has regular 17-year-old securities. And I say, when we look on the security cameras, we see the grooves that Soba has made in the grass. You can't really see him from, the grass sitting outside so well. Kind of you can, but on the security camera, there's a clear trail when she walks all around. And I go, see that trail there that Soba made? It's because she walked that same trail over and over and over again until it made like a big old long, divot trail all the way along the yard. That's because she repeated it. Now, the only way to get rid of that trail or negative thought about yourself is to come over here with a new trail. And even though you only have that thought one time and that grass has not been smashed down and this grass is still smashed down, if you do that again and again and again and again, and you think this thought, whatever it is, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy, plug in, the appropriate words for yourself. But eventually this groove will grow back in grass and this groove will create, but it doesn't happen after one walk. So even if you don't believe it yet, keep telling yourself that. And that example that I kind of made up made me understand why that dumb shit about, looking at yourself in the mirror and self-talking works. You're so pretty. You are worthy, Stuart Smalley, and gosh darn it, people like you. I get why that works now. You got to keep on doing it though. So teaching my kids has really taught me too. So I'm still dealing with my body image. I care a whole lot less than I did, mostly because I see the ridiculousness as I try to talk to Layla, Buggy, as I try to talk to them about and I don't get as much opportunity anymore because, she lives up there and she gets therapy. But before that, when I did, I realized how many times I need to take my own advice about who gives a fuck what other people think about you. This is who you are and accept it. This is who you are and accept it. And I know I have good energy. I know I'm a nice girl. I know a lot of people love me for who I am and not what my body looks like. But it doesn't even matter it kind of matters. I'm glad to be loved and stuff, but nobody hates me because I'm big. Nobody hates me because of that. Only I do. So if I retrain my brain, since it already doesn't matter what anybody else thinks and it only matters what I think, I have to create that for myself. And I don't know how much that self-acceptance will actually play into what's next of feeling okay with myself, but I see how me learning through my kids dietitian and through my continued desire to have her love herself, how that's going to help me in my own journey. And Eric was right about that scheduling stuff, because it'll be absolutely imperative to be kind of I can't deviate too much from a schedule, because she needs it. She needs to eat at certain times, and we have to have a full rewards kind of system going, a consequence and all that stuff like she has there. They call it levels, and they call it framing and structure and all this. And not that my husband and I are so like, blah, I mean, we kind of are, but it didn't matter before because our kids are so good. And not that she's bad, not that they're bad, but they're going to really need that structure. And if I implement it for her, I'll be forced to follow it too. So if I have her on a meal plan if I have them on a meal plan until they, I think it's going to be a long haul for them. And as long as I've got it in play for them, I too will be forced to follow it. And I believe that is when, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know when I'll make it back to my goal body, or maybe I never will, because again, I don't trust what spirit says about my future. Maybe I'll fit into my Walmart pants. Maybe I won't. But either way, I will learn how to take care of my body better. Right now, I just don't care. I don't have time to care, I feel like, and I know I'm to put myself first, but that kind of feels like it's on the back burner, and I feel like it will happen naturally as I set up our lives here to accommodate Buggy. So I'm going to share about that story on my group too. I want to show the pictures of how cute they are when they're a boy and when they're a girl. Sometimes I call her Gayla or Peter Pansexual. She always goes, Mom, 2021. She loves how inappropriate I am. Okay, I guess I'll stop there for now. I'm sure that there's more to say. Maybe I'll come back, but if I don't come back I will come back at some point, because I have to close it up. I have to tie a bow on it and close it up, and this is not the bow. Plus, I want to hear what Michelle has to say. And I'm even considering asking H to come on and channel for me one last time too, as one last hurrah. We'll see. But I am ready to close this door, because this show, while I've, spoke about many other things, it really feels like my journey of the twin flame shit. And I am done learning from them. The only thing I learned from them this time around is that I don't want to go backwards. But I didn't have any big epiphanies. There was no, putting clues together. Everything, it's just regurgitation of the same thing. All right, so thank you once again for following along, allowing me to share my shit, allowing me to heal through you. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off for now, and I'll come back when I get a chance. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for support in the Facebook groups too, because I have been kind of falling apart, and I have been feeling the love. And I gotta make a post about all of the gifts I've been receiving. Just quickly, Jason's beautiful painting of Beautiful Mistress, and Heidi sent me her book, and she sent me some peanut butter, which sounds really funny, but it was nutritionally balanced peanut butter with probiotics, so that Buggy can just suck down a packet and at least have that much nutrition inside of her. But she couldn't handle it. Sorry, they couldn't handle it, but I sure do like it. One of them snickerdoodle flavor, and the other one is, forgot, cookie dough. It's so good. This peanut butter is so good. What else? I don't know how to say her name, but Nayadit, she just sent me some light language. And if you haven't heard her light language, I don't know. I wonder if she channels it. If she's got a website, if you can pay her for that shit. She gifted me a channeling for me and a channeling for Bug. She's so good. I haven't listened to it yet, because I know it's going to drop me to my knees and make me cry. What else have I been gifted? I know somebody else has sent me some stuff. I've been they've been doing, I have this very exclusive small group of witches, and Carol Jordan has been leading meditations and been including me. She did a nice healing for me. And after that, I had 3 great nights of insomnia free sleep. I really needed it. Sarah, I always have Sarah. She's got my back all the time. She she takes me out, or we meet out, but one day she treated me, and she treated me to a bread zeppelin, which is like a hollowed out piece of bread with a salad shoved in it. It was really good, but it kind of made me sad because I wanted the inside of that bread. What the fuck? That was the best part. But she's been real sweet. And, we just have our regular dates. We call it coffee pong because we sit there. We don't even have coffee all the time, but it's still pong for us because we sit there for like 3 hours over, whatever our food or drink is, just talking. And I need that release. She's my therapist. So I appreciate all the gifts that she gives me, either through feeding my belly or just letting me vent to her. Who else has been gifting me? I know that there's more. I know I'm missing something. But I'll come up with a post about it. So I'm going to look out in the future. I want to give another free group healing, because I do have gratitude for those that give me, and I want to give back. All right, I really am going to end right now. Okay, thank you guys, and I'll talk to you again when I can. I'll talk at you when I can. All right. Okay, bye.